Good morning, gorgeous. How are you doing today? Whether you're watching this in the morning, afternoon, or evening, thank you for being here. Welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Michelle Daff, and I'm so happy that you're here today as we talk about the controlling wife. You, my love, being a controlling wife, a controlling woman in your relationship. Now, you may say, that's not me. I'm not controlling. I don't know who you're talking about. You're not talking about me. And I may not be talking about you because truly, people who are very controlling don't oftentimes even know that they are. But you may have heard from time to time that you are a controlling person, or maybe you just feel like you have to control everything. But either way, when it comes to relationships, no one should be controlling. Your husband chose to be with you, chose to give up his life to combine his life with yours. And so with that choice, he freed himself to be with you, not to be captured by you and manipulated and bent and turned and flipped around and used by you for your wishes. But I want you to know that this video is not to condemn you. Okay, you are not a bad person, and even if you are very controlling, that doesn't mean that you're a bad wife. It just means that there are some areas that we need to talk about, areas in which you need to heal in, because when you're controlling, you are ruining your own marriage. And you're also not living authentically. You're not able to see who your husband really is because you're manipulating so many things about the relationship. And the truth is, most of us do have some controlling tendencies. It's part of human nature to some degree. But when you're at the point where you are out of control, where people do feel like you are a controller, or when you know that you have to play games and do tricks and you have to always be thinking about how to get something done your way, then this is a problem that we need to talk about. And in life, change is difficult. It's difficult to change something that's been so ingrained in yourself. So we have to be intentional about changing. And you have to say to yourself, I'm repenting. Repentance means that you change your thinking. You saying, I no longer want to be a controlling woman. I no longer agree with this lifestyle. I no longer want to be seen in this way. I want to change. And once you make that mental shift and you give that up, you're able to make a real change, and you're no longer on autopilot. You're no longer in a habitual routine of just doing the same old thing. There comes a point sometimes where you get tired of yourself. And if you're there, then that's great. So I want you to go ahead and sit back, relax, get something to drink, get something to write with, and let's talk about this. As a wife, you are your husband's partner. The two of you came together and joined to be able to do something greater than you could do alone in this world. And in this beautiful union, there is a partnership, there is a balance, there is a way of seeing the world where you both get your own perspectives in. Your husband's greatest desire from you is not love. Yes, he wants you to love him, of course. But his greatest desire from you as his wife is to be respected. Men want respect, and they perceive respect as love. When you are acting in a controlling way, you do so many things that come off as disrespectful, especially if your husband's able to pick up on what it is that you're doing. It's important for us to remember that in marriage, you're not your husband's mother. You're not your husband's boss, and you're not your husband's warden. He is not in jail. And when you behave in a controlling manner, you become that way. You become a mother, a boss, a warden. You are no longer in the position of his wife, whether you think he realizes it or not. Think about it. Even God, the Almighty God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, he himself, who could if he wanted to, does not control us. He gives each of us free will and free reign to make our own choices and to do things our way. So if God himself does not control your husband, why do you think you can? When you choose to control, you are robbing yourself of the joy, the genuine joy of allowing things to be based on what other people want, based on what's right. Sometimes you're actually not right. And you allow yourself to love people as they are. You allow people to love you as you are and to see you for who you are. Because most women who are controlling their husbands are insecure. It comes from a deep wound of insecurity. And they're also operating in fear, which we'll talk a little bit about later. But that need for control is not just a surface level issue. There's something deeper there that's causing you to feel that you have to take over things. And there are some women who will actually admit that, yeah, I'm really controlling. I'm a control freak. They will tell you that. And those women typically can be, quite controlling, but they're not as controlling as the women who don't even see it, the women who will not admit it to themselves. Some of you ladies have grown up in environments that have pushed you towards a controlling disposition because you grew up in a place that didn't honor you. Your feelings and your thoughts and your opinions were not valued. So now that you have this opportunity to show dominance in what you want and how you want it, you really don't want to let go of that. You may have lacked control in certain areas in your upbringing. And this could be anything. This could be financial. This could be your body being mishandled. And so you really want to control that. Maybe you just weren't seen at all. You had no say in anything. You just had to do. And because of that, this has shaped your personality. And for some ladies who are very controlling towards their husbands, and I say towards your husbands, but just know in this video, I'm talking about control in general. We're talking specifically about you being controlling with your husband. But when you are a controlling woman, you are controlling all around. It is not going to just be with your husband. Everyone who is around you will feel, whether or not they say it, and they usually won't say it, they'll say it behind your back. But everyone who interacts with you will pick up on this part of you because it gets ingrained into your being. And unfortunately, a lot of women who are controlling, not all, but many, are just extremely selfish. And they're always looking inwards into figuring out what will please them or what other people will say about them if they do things the way that they want to do it. It's all very inner focused. And there's a denial when people bring it up as to, what they're doing and why they're doing it. They believe that their motives outweigh other people's opinions and their own self-righteousness and their own sense of this is what's right. And I just want to do what's right. Or I just want everyone to have what I think is the best. That supersedes how people feel about it. But one of the reasons why I'm bringing this up is that when you are a controlling wife, when you are a controlling woman, on a soul level, you can end up being very abusive and deceptive. And on a spiritual level, you could actually be tampering with witchcraft. And I'll explain what I mean by that. How control can be manipulation and how that ends up turning into witchcraft. And this is a deep, deep, deep-seated issue. People who struggle with control, maybe your mother controlled you, or maybe your father or different people in your life have controlled you and you just picked up on these things. And this is how you think things work. I have had a lot of experience with controlling people. And it is one of the most oppressive things to live under. It is, I can't even say the word, it's just angering. Like you're under their spell almost. And that's why this whole witchcraft thing does come up. But it's a very demonic feeling that can come up depending on what they're doing and how they're doing it and how much they're doing it. So I have had a lot of experience with this, and I have learned how to separate myself mentally, spiritually, from people who operate with this level of control. But when you're the one doing this, you have a different level of understanding. You don't see what other people see. And I invite you to be able to take a look at some of these things as to whether you do them. So let's look at some examples of how wives control their husband. One of the ways that wives exercise control in their relationships and their marriages is by forcing your opinions on your husband. If he doesn't agree with something that you want him to agree with, you are pressing in on it. And if he doesn't agree, then you just get upset, or you shut down, or you call him names, or you look down on him, which is one of the worst things, is to actually put yourself on such a superior plane, such a high horse, that you actually start looking down on him because you think that you are right. In addition, you can be very argumentative because you have to win, because you have to be right, because you have to have your way. You are going to be in constant arguments, and you're not going to be able to let things go, to have I agree to disagree with you. Nothing will work except I am right and you are wrong, and we're going to do it my way. You may also fall into guilt tripping, making him feel guilty. Well, because you're my husband, I just figured that you would do this and that, right? So instead of just asking, or instead of allowing him to have his opinions, you make him feel like he's a bad person. He's a bad husband. He's not fulfilling his duties. You may do that by crying, and knowing that because he's a masculine man, him seeing you cry is going to create the need for him to comfort you and maybe give in to whatever it is that you're wanting. You may find yourself using more passive aggressive tactics, which I find often with people who are very controlling. Oftentimes people who are controlling can also come off as like people pleasers. And again, they have a lot of insecurity and a lot of times very low self-esteem. And so their need to get people onto their team, onto their side, onto their way of doing whatever they're doing, you may insist on getting your way in a very passive aggressive manner. So you may try to do things like give him the silent treatment, which I have heard being referred to as silent screaming or silent shouting, because a silent treatment, in my personal opinion, is very evil. When you shut people out in such a way where they don't have access to you as a person anymore, even though they live in your home and you're connected through covenant, is very evil. But that's something that passive aggressive people do because they don't want to talk about it. They want you to change, and they want you to give in based on their emotion that they're putting on, the show that they're putting on, which is I'm mad and I don't want to talk about it. It's very immature. Or you may be more passive aggressive and do things like not want to have sex with him, just cut off all intimacy, right? Because you are mad, so you don't have access to me anymore. You don't have access to my body. You may try to pressure him to do things. If he says no, if he doesn't want to do it, you bother him, asking over and over and over and over again, I'll do this, I'll do that, I know you want this. You may even try to get other people to pressure him, like your children or his brother or his best friend or his parents. So you're gathering all these people in to try to force your will upon him. I've even seen it go so far as people who are struggling with control issues. If he is having a certain mood, you have to be okay with that mood. So if he's unhappy about something, maybe he's having a hard day, maybe there's some disappointment in his life and he is moody, and you talk to him and say, hon, what's wrong? Oh, what happened? And he tells you, and you're done with the conversation, but he is still processing it. He is still down. You try to force him to get out of his mood. You don't allow him the time that he needs to work through those thoughts and work through his emotions. It's like, okay, get over it. Let's do it. Let's move on. Or you're bombarding him with things to try to cheer him up, which in your head you think is so nice, but really you're trying to force him into feeling the way you want him to feel. You may also be passive aggressive in terms of your control by just dragging your feet to do things. He asks you to take care of something, you don't really want to do it. So instead of getting to it right away, you take 2-3 months, and he's asking, oh, I'll do it. Stop bugging me. I'll do it. But you know that you're going to drag your feet because you don't want to. It's your way of exercising control over the situation. It's passive aggressiveness. You may also try to control his activities. If he likes to go out with his friends, if he likes to go jogging, it's not just like, oh, honey, it's kind of dark, it's a little late, I don't know if you should go. Because there's a fine line, right? There's a fine line between you actually just wanting to offer him some sense or just be protective. That's okay. But where this turns to control is when you start telling him what he can and cannot do. No, you can't go out this late. No, you can't hang out with him. No, you're spending too much time doing this. When you start putting ultimatums and rules, and it's not a conversation, it's not a discussion, you are making commands decrees, right? That's where we turn into control freaks. And jealousy plays a huge role into being controlling. If you are afraid that he's going to go out and he's going to go to his activity that he likes, let's say it's like, let's say he likes wine tasting and he's going to do wine tasting and you don't enjoy wine. So you don't want him to go because you're afraid that if he goes, he's going to meet someone, another woman who enjoys his hobby, and maybe he's going to fall in love with her and he's going to leave you. And so your mind is playing all these tricks on you. So you're taking that jealousy and becoming controlling with it and telling him, no, you can't go. I don't want you doing that. And you have no valid reason except you just don't want him to do it. You may also want to control the way your husband looks. You may not like the way he dresses. You may not like his hairstyle. You may say, no, I don't like that hairstyle. I need you to go ahead and cut that off. Oh, no. I don't like that mustache. Go ahead and cut it off. Oh, I like you better when you have this hairstyle. Why don't you get that? And instead of it just being a suggestion, you are demanding that he does it. You demand that he cut off that mohawk. You demand that he shave his beard. It is not a conversation. Or you try to make him feel bad about it. Every time you walk past him, you're like, oh, I just hate that mustache. Oh, will you get rid of it? So you're pressuring him and making him feel unattractive, right? Do you see how this is coming off as very abusive? You may also start to even be controlling over areas of the home where this man lives here. He may even pay all the bills, even if he doesn't. He lives here, it's his home. You're his wife. But he doesn't feel comfortable in his own home because there's so many areas that he can't sit in. He can't put his feet up here. He can't put his cup here. He can't move things around, right? You are so gifted at organizing. You do a great job, but he comes in and just messes up everything. And it's like all your hard work is out the door. And so you're constantly nagging him and correcting him and moving his stuff around and organizing his stuff when he did not ask you to. And it becomes a annoyance to live with you because you're so controlling over the home. This is very common. Don't think you're the only one doing this. I have seen so many instances of this, and it's very difficult to live and feel comfortable in a home like this. You may also find yourself doing things like hiding from him. That's another kind of passive aggressive way of being controlling, where you don't want him to find you. So you find ways to stay out of the house or hide in certain places, hide in the garden, or constantly go to the store because you're avoiding quiet time with him. Maybe you're avoiding sex. He's sending you text messages. You're pretending you didn't see them. And this is your way of not confronting certain situations. It's a different form of control, but it's still control. You may also find yourself giving him advice that he didn't ask for. It's okay to give suggestions here and there, but you may find yourself dictating to him, teaching him, advising him when he did not ask for your opinion. And I know in marriage, it's kind of tricky because you're a partnership and you should be able to express yourself, right? But when it comes off as you telling him what to do, when it comes off as you acting like you have all the answers, you're always right, you know everything, then it's off-putting. It's repulsive. It makes him sometimes feel like, okay, I'm not allowed to come up with my own solutions. And as a man, that's part of his masculinity. That's part of what makes him feel like a man, is his ability to problem solve and to work things out without having you jump in. And the last thing, because I mean, there are so many examples, and we could be here the whole week. There's so many examples, and I want you to leave me examples below. Like if you have certain tendencies and you know that you've done certain things your husband did not appreciate, let us know in the comments, because I'm sure a lot of ladies can relate, and at least it'll be that green light like, ooh, okay, let me go ahead and not do that. And it's helpful. So please leave a comment and let me know. But some ladies who are very manipulative and controlling are also very sweet in a sense that you would not really see it until you see it. And for the people that I've dealt with in my life who are extremely controlling, most people, when they first meet them, they're like, oh my gosh, she's so nice. She's, and I'm like, you don't know her. She may be nice, but you have to always wonder if there's a trick up her sleeve, because they can use their niceness as a way to control you, giving you all these gifts and compliments and all of this stuff because they know that when they need something or when they want something done their way, you're going to feel like maybe you have to comply with them. Or I think a lot of times it's for themselves so that they can feel that they're this great person and they're this perfect person. So then when the other person doesn't agree with them or isn't doing what they want, they can say, I've done so much for this person. I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. And again, they end up hurting themselves by doing this. My love, if you're struggling with this, if this is you I'm talking about, you end up hurting yourself. That's the worst part of it all. It's not even that you're just hurting him. You're hurting yourself too, because you end up falling into your own traps of manipulation. And the hard thing is that it is hard on people around you. If you are a controlling wife, it is very difficult on your husband. Your husband wants to see you as his perfect, beautiful princess, his perfect queen. But when you do this, you paint yourself as someone else. When you're a controlling wife, people do not feel comfortable with you. They may skip to your loo. They may robotically do what you ask, but they're not comfortable with you. Controlling people a lot of times are also very uptight. You can tell who they are. A lot of times they're just wound up so tight, like even if they're nice, you can just tell that there's something inside of them that's just not at rest. Your husband may feel like he can't just relax with you, that you always have to change the situation in some way. He may also feel like you're just not a genuine person. So he doesn't really know if you even love him because you have created so many scenarios and tricks and schemes that he has fallen into, that you've created your own husband. You've created your own story, and he's just a character in it. And that may make him question whether or not you genuinely love him. He may also not trust you because of the fact that you get people to do things and you move situations around. So if your daughter's asking him a certain question, he may be like, did your mom tell you to ask me this? It makes him start losing trust in other people that you have manipulated for your own benefit. And that hurts your family. It hurts you. And the worst part is that your husband may actually end up resenting you as a person altogether because he knows that he's being deceived. And we don't want that. We want your marriage to be beautiful and smooth, and we want him to be able to see you as a beautiful, loving wife that you are, minus all the tricks and all the schemes. And something else that happens with women who are very controlling is that they end up being very tired. You being married, you have a husband who can help you in so many ways. You are blessed to have help. But when you are controlling, you end up being exhausted because you are physically controlling the environment and you are also mentally controlling things. You're trying to make everything perfect. You're trying to always get your way. And because of that, you end up being drained. It ends up aging you and harming you in so many ways in your physical body and just in your overall mood, your overall happiness, because so much of it is centered on the way things go, the way things turn out. I hope that this video is helping you. If you would like to share this video, I would urge you to share it with people who you think it can help, because this is one of those topics that is very hard to talk about. And sometimes people need to hear it from someone else. So if there are people in your life you know could benefit from it, please share this. Please post it on your socials. So I apologize because my camera cut off and I didn't realize it. So I'm actually going to try to re-record what I said, but it was so much. So if you want the entirety of this message, then please visit my podcast, The Dr. Daf Show, and I will have the entire message there, because I told a story about some coworkers and some things that I just think will be too long because of the time constraint I'm under right now. So if you want additional information on some of these effects, then please visit my podcast and you'll have the entirety of the message there. Also, please share this message. I know that this is one of those topics that is just really hard to digest because it feels painful sometimes, and it may be hard for you to share this with other people. So you can share this video or you can share it on your socials. It will definitely help other women so that they know that they're not alone, that a lot of us do struggle with control. In addition to that, If you're not aware, I have a fragrance line called Fine Forever, and today I'm wearing Silent Storm. This is a beautiful feminine fragrance that smells like you are an elegant woman at the beach. It definitely is unique, and it's just one of those fragrances that you wear it and you just feel summer and you feel so beautiful. So if you love fragrance, then you can head over to fineforever.com and you can pick up Silent Storm. It is so good. Okay, let's get back to the video. You might find that you are a very controlling woman, but you don't understand why you're like this. And I talked about some of the reasons at the beginning as to how women end up being so controlling, but oftentimes with your husband, you may find that you are being controlling out of fear. You have fear of so many different things. You may be afraid that he cannot lead you. You might be afraid that he's going to ruin things. You can't follow his lead. You cannot trust him. You might be afraid of finances. There may be things in the home that are expensive or that you just know you won't be able to replace, and you're afraid that he's going to ruin it. Maybe he's eating up all the steaks and eating up all the fruits and drinking up all the milk and eating up all the eggs, and they're expensive. So you start giving him the evil eye when he's eating and, talking about how much he's eating or doing certain things that are making him feel uncomfortable because you're afraid of having to replenish those things. You may be jealous of certain things that he's doing, and that jealousy will turn into fear. So if he has a hobby of going out, and let's say he has a hobby of going to the shooting range, right? You may not want him to go, and you may disguise it and say that you don't want him to go because you don't want him doing something so violent and you don't approve of it. But maybe you're afraid that he may go there, and what if he actually meets a woman who likes shooting and he's attracted to her, right? Then you lost, and you're so afraid of losing him that you try to dominate him and you try to restrict what he's doing. You may have a fear of just being controlled in general. Maybe you were in an abusive relationship, or you had abusive parents, or went through certain things in your life, or are going through things in your life right now where you're feeling out of control, or people have taken advantage of you or hurt you in ways that have made you put such a guard up where you don't want to ever have to be out of control. You want to make sure that you have first dibs so that they cannot control you. You may also have a fear of perception. Oftentimes, women who are very controlling with their husbands are afraid of what other people are going to think. Oh, no. You have to make sure that you put up all your things, because if someone were to come over and see this home, they're going to say, oh, I'm this messy wife. I can't take care of a house. So pick up all your towels, pick up your shoes, pick up your socks. You're just a mess because you're so worried about not only the world's perceptions, but your own family members' perceptions. You may think that your husband looks at you as incapable or as not a good wife because of the fact that you are not keeping things tidy, because he's messing everything up. So that fear of being perceived as a certain kind of person makes you so controlling, so you can control your image. And I did bring up witchcraft in the beginning because witchcraft is all about control. People who do witchcraft or into sorcery and the occult and all of that, they're aiming to control, whether it's to control a person and their behavior, control the weather. They're aiming to control a situation, and that is pulled right into you being a controlling wife. You're aiming to domineer and to manipulate and to try to sweep him into your will without him realizing it or without him feeling like he has a choice. And that flirts with witchcraft, and it actually is considered witchcraft. When you have so much control over a person that you are a burden mentally on them or spiritually, you are affecting them in such a negative way because of your choice to get them to do your wishes. So I know we talked a lot about all of this negative stuff, and I don't want it to appear again like you're this bad person, because you're not a bad person. You're a wonderful person who's just trying to figure it out. And so I want to give you some tips on what you can do, what you can start with to move out of being a controlling wife. And the first step, which is major, that you're even here and listening to this, is for you to realize that you are struggling with control. because that is the most difficult thing for people to do, is to even come to the realization that they are controlling. Most women, I would say people, but we're talking about women who are controlling, will not admit it. Even if they've heard people talk about it, even if they've heard whispers or people have said it here and there, they will not admit it. And that's how you know it's really serious. There is a deep wound. There is a deep insecurity. There is something there that they are protecting about themselves. So the first thing is just to realize that this is where you are right now, and this is not forever, but this is where you are. And also realize that you do not have control. As much as you may think that you can get your way all the time and that things will be the way you want them to be, it is false. You do not have the control that you think you have, and you will not get the control that you want. It's important for you to realize and accept that your husband is who he is, that this is the man you married, and to love him anyway, not to judge him. When you release control, you allow him to be himself. You allow him to feel relaxed. You allow him to be able to do what he would do. And you can see that and appreciate him being different than you are. When you judge a person, you are labeling them. You are giving them a label based on your perception of your own perfection. It is a self-righteous attitude. So when you're judging him, you're labeling him. Instead of you saying that, yeah, I wish he was a little bit more thoughtful and careful when he's putting things in the dishwasher, because these plates say not dishwasher safe, and yet he put them in and now they're ruined. Instead, you say something like, oh, he's an idiot. He's an idiot. Like, how did he not realize? How many times have I told you? How many times have I told you not to put that in the dishwasher? Can you not read? Are you stupid? Like, do you not remember anything? Then you start name calling, you start labeling, you may even start cursing him as a person, and this all gets very evil very fast. So when you are accepting him for who he is, you're saying, yes, I wish he was a little bit more careful, but it's okay. Because you could say, because he doesn't pay attention, I'm going to always do the dishes. And even if I'm tired, even if I'm stressed, I'm going to always take care of this because I cannot trust him to do it. And that will translate to everything. And that's how you end up being burned out. That's how you end up complaining all the time. And people are asking you, well, why do you have to do that? And you're giving them reasons, but the truth is you don't. You don't have to do it. You're choosing to do it. And then you're choosing to complain because it's too much. And this also gives you the opportunity to allow your husband to see you. When you accept people for who they are, it shows that you are authentic enough to show up and for you to allow people to see you as who you are, that you're not hiding, that you're not pretending. And this allows people to love you. This allows people to love you for who you are, and without any pretenses and any gimmicks and deceptions and manipulations. You're able to stand free from that and just be accepted for who you are as someone who is imperfect and beautiful. It's also important for you to ask yourself, why do you care? Because when you ask yourself that, it can lead to the truth as to why you are making a big deal out of something. Maybe there is a valid reason that can be dealt with. Why do you care? If your husband is making his protein shake and he's pouring in all the blueberries and he's pouring in all the strawberries, and you're thinking to yourself, does this man know how much fruit costs? And you're getting boiled up inside and you're getting all angry, you need to ask yourself, why do I care? Why do I care that he's using up so much fruit? Is it because you don't want to have to go back to the store? Is it because they're so expensive and you don't have enough in the budget for multiple bottles of juice? Like, what is it that is really getting to you? Is he using your precious blender that you need to make your soups and you don't want him to ruin it? What is the reason behind it? Can't you buy another one? Can't you make room in the budget for those things? Is a smoothie really worth your marriage? These are the questions you have to ask yourself, and asking yourself, why do I care, will help you to start thinking about those things. It's also important to pray, to ask God to give you the strength and the patience and the ability to let things go. Ask God to help you to be able to watch your tone and to do more listening. Do more listening instead of talking. Some people use talking as a way of control. Because you talk so much, You talk him to death. He would rather just do it than to hear you talk. That is negative. And in the Word of God, it says everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. That's out of James 1:19. So it is important for you to take time to listen to him. Show him that respect and be slow to speak and slow to being angry about whatever it is that he's doing that you wish you had control over. And it's important for you to learn and accept no. No is a complete sentence. And you will hear a lot of no's as you start releasing this control. But learning how to accept no is important because it shows that you respect your husband. You respect his wishes. And even if they're different than yours, you will not try to maneuver and manipulate his no and make it a yes. You will be patient because what you'll find is that as time goes on and you start learning how to release that control, he will notice, he will appreciate it, and he will start to answer some of your requests with yeses. Even if it's him having his Coke bottle that's like dripping with water and choosing to use a coaster because he knows that that means a lot to you. It's not because you intimidated him, you stressed him, you yelled at him, but because he genuinely loves you and wants to make you happy, he will do it. You will see what people will do on their own. And in Proverbs, it says patience is better than power, and ruling over one's spirit is better than capturing a city. That's out of Proverbs 16:32. Learn to rule over your own spirit. Learn to get yourself to a place where you can manage your temperance. You can manage your ability to be able to let people have it their way. Work with people. Don't take over. Ask your husband what he thinks about something. Ask him what he would like. And when he gives you that answer, take it in. Don't dismiss it. I know that if you're watching this and you are taking all this in, you want to be a better wife. You want to be the wife that you know God created you to be, and you want your husband to be in love with you, be comfortable in your home, be comfortable with you, not have an uptight wife. You know that this is something that you want for yourself. And I know that over time, as you practice these things, and most importantly, surrendering yourself to the Lord, telling God that you're ready for change, you will see a change in your life. You may need to go to therapy. You may need help with unraveling some of these things inside of you, but just know that God is waiting for you. He's had his hand out this whole time, waiting for you to finally say, okay, I'm ready. Even if you haven't talked to God in 10 years, he is always with you. He always loves you, and he wants to heal and touch those places that hurt. He wants to change you into his image and make you the woman that he created you to be. And I'm here to help. I'm here to help. I love you so much. And if you want to listen to this entire episode, then you can find me at the Dr. Daff Show, and you can find me on Instagram at Dr. Michelle Daff and at the Dr. Daff Show. I love you so much, and I thank you for being here and taking this in. Until next time, bye-bye.